You're watching the Flint Film Foundation Podcast, hosted by Flint, Michigan Films, created inside the Dort Mall. The Flint Film Foundation is a local nonprofit focused on creating community impact through film, television, and social content with an emphasis on education and community storytelling. If you'd like to learn more, please visit flintfilmfoundation.org. You guys were super excited. We got Malcolm Cottle here today.
Happy to be here.
I don't really even know much about you.
Oh, well. Yeah. Then
but I'm really,
my plan has worked.
But let me tell you, I did have to do the Facebook Google you, right?
Yep.
So I do know that you are curator of collections at Sloan Museum.
Correct.
You got your master's degree in public administration.
I did, yeah.
You run a nonprofit called the Art of Music Project.
I do, yes.
You have a beautiful partner that I just heard you tell me about a little bit ago.
Yes, Carly Schlinkert. Yep.
I love it. Carly. She's got real pretty eyes.
She does, yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You're a videographer, musician, and producer.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
I call him a cinematographer.
All right, well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Talk to me.
Oh, so like I always feel like a videographer is like a live event person. You know what I mean? Like, so he does a little bit, but he gets to set up the lights, he gets to curate, he gets to, you know, make sure composition. I feel like a lot of like videographers are just like, I show up, I try to do the best that I can, but you just kind of like are an observer almost, like you're like a documentarian. And then I think cinematographer, like when you're doing lighting, when you're setting up the stage, when you're
When
curating,
you can make it look really pretty.
Yeah, when you can make it look the way that you see it, I feel like then you're a cinematographer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's high praise, and I am honored by that because I felt like I wasn't allowed to call myself a cinematographer until someone with some credits actually bestowed the title on me. So now I'm going to start saying I'm a cinematographer.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, you got the stamp of approval.
Yeah. There you go.
How does it make you feel?
Really good. This is a great start to my podcast and my day.
Right. Well, I was just going to say, like, we made a post on the Flint Film Foundation, and you responded. I was like, who do we need to have on our podcast and why? And you responded. And Corey was like, call Malcolm.
Well, yeah, I was like, I definitely knew that you were one of them. There's so many people. I'm like, not yet. I know you've got a really cool event coming up. We'll get you eventually. But yeah, we were surprised that just like so many people kind of reached out. So if you're watching this, we're gonna get to you. We try and do 1 or 2 a week if possible. So we got a lot in the pipeline. You're coming, I promise.
Well, it's great that you like put out that post too for people to kind of self-nominate, because I feel like so many people, especially in the arts, kind of wait to be self-nominated or wait for someone else to come up and be like, you need recognition, because I think a lot of artists are trying to be humble and trying to just like do their work and get recognized in time. But sometimes you just got to put yourself out there like, hey, I got something to say. Pay attention to me for once. You know?
I love that.
So it was great that you guys put that post out and were like inviting people not to just nominate other people, but to self-nominate as well. I thought that was really great.
Well, yeah, and I think too, it also gets us out of like our normal circles. You know what I mean? Because everybody travels like, you know, in a few circles here and there, and then you just kind of like, oh, I know this person, and then, you know, someone's like, have you tried this person and this person? So it kind of expands, but that one was just like a scatter shot. And, yeah. So between like all of her friends and then all my friends, because a lot of the people who follow Flint, Michigan Films are following from like when I was just like would take photos of bands at a bar.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I got my start in Flint. You know, just taking little photos here. So yeah, just having that diverse crowd to draw from for inspiration and like what people think is cool.
Yeah, well, community I think is the best word for it. Is you expand your community, and then your community reaches out to other communities, and that's how you grow your network, and that's how people find each other, you know, through word of mouth. I always say, like, even with my like kind of, you know, solo business or my like freelance business, like it's all come from word of mouth. I worked with people, they were happy with what I did. When someone else asked, hey, my wedding's coming up, I need a videographer or a cinematographer, I should say now. Do you know anybody? Oh yeah, check out Malcolm. He shot my wedding and we were really happy. You know, word of mouth goes so far in the arts industry, I think.
You still doing weddings?
Few every now and then, yeah. It's definitely slowed down. The Art of Music project and my band's involvement and stuff like that has definitely eclipsed my freelance work. But yeah, no, I still get the odd call for a wedding or an event. Still do a decent amount of music videos and stuff like that. But
that's awesome. I miss doing music videos.
They're fun. I love them. That's kind of how I got started, really. I was in a band and we had a few music videos done for us, and I did not like the final product because I was really upset with them. And my approach was that there was something wrong with how I communicated our vision. The problem was on my end. I wasn't clearly communicating what we wanted. So I started learning about videography and cinematography and okay, well, what is aperture? What does it do? How can I learn the terms or the tools of the trade, if you will, or the terms to better communicate what we wanted? And it kind of, produced some initial positive response, but eventually it kind of just got to a point where I was like, well, now I think I know enough to just do it myself. So I started doing it myself for the bands that I was in, and then that kind of just snowballed into, well, now people are asking if I can do it for them. And so this could be a side hustle income for me. So that's kind of how that got kicked off and then snowballed into everything else.
Yeah, I'm always kind of waiting. I've got 4 really good ideas for bands in Flint that I'm just call me.
Yeah.
I've got these on deck, but we're going to have to rent some equipment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super kind of pumped. I'm I know it's happening. I've just been thinking about it. I just, don't get to do a lot of music videos, unfortunately. I mean, I've lit quite a few, but yeah, it's just one thing that I guess never got. It's always a sad thing, always a fear of missing out. I'm I want to do a music video.
Yeah, that's hard. There's just most bands don't have the budget for it, or they have really big ideas, but very small pockets, to do it. So it's a tough industry to get in and sustain even, because you do have repeat clients, which is great. But unfortunately with the music industry, which kind of prompted a lot of what we're doing with the Art of Music project now, there's just not the budgets to support smaller artists doing ambitious things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what is the Art of Music project?
Sure. So the Art of Music project is a nonprofit that we started based here in Genesee County. And our mission is basically to provide platforms for musical artists to explore multimedia and basically achieve their authentic vision, whatever that looks like. So our main program is what we call our live session program, where we partner with a musical artist and we produce a 4-song live off the floor set with them. The unique thing about what we do is that the artist has all the say in what the videography looks like, the audio production, and the set design. So that's where we kind of contrast platforms like NPR Tiny Desk or Audio Tree Presents. For them, it's very much they have their set and they kind of bring in an artist, do the set, and then bring in the next artist. Everything kind of looks the same. Maybe they change the color of the lights. But it's not really curated to the artist and their branding. So we do a lot of pre-production with the artist to kind of ask how do you want your music felt? What is the image you're trying to project for an audience, and how can we use set design, use specific camera angles or lighting, harsh lighting versus production soft lighting, or all those kinds of things, or even color to represent the emotion that you're trying to portray in your songs and how you're trying to be seen by your audience. It's kind of been an evolution as we've kind of had the initial idea and it's kind of developed, but that's mainly what we're trying to do, is provide just sort of a new platform for artists where they get to just kind of be in a sandbox and explore how does film and video and lighting and, auto-tune versus not auto-tune. The way we even shoot it, is it one take live off the floor, or is it comped takes? All of that they decide and they're in control of. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. So along with the live session program, we then take it and we edit it all together. They give us the final sign-off, and then we release it on our YouTube channel. We're using the new YouTube collaborative element too, so that it shows up on their channel now too. We also do a podcast episode with them called Amp Radio, is what we call the podcast. And then we throw the audio on streaming as well, because it's been doing pretty well on streaming as well. So yeah, all these things are kind of all put together. And then as a nonprofit, I think this is the coolest thing, is that we only care about their satisfaction, their development. We don't have a bottom line that we're trying to reach. We are mostly grant funded, and now we're looking for sponsors who want to sponsor sessions, especially local sessions where, they're in this community. We're just trying to get the money to produce the sessions. We're not really worried about our bottom line. Right now, we're an entirely volunteer organization. So it's just a lot of people that are really passionate about trying to make a positive impact in the music industry and really bring to light not only the artistry in Genesee County, but across Michigan too. I mean, there's such great artists that come out of Michigan and even Genesee County too. So we just want to highlight that and give that talent a platform.
It sounds like that. Well, let me ask, did it stem from your frustration? Because it sounds like you're helping people do what frustrated you when you were looking for somebody to help.
I think in a lot of ways, yeah.
it sounds like that.
Our board is all made up of people that are involved in the music industry in one way or another, or have had, experiences in the music industry. And like, not to put too fine a point on it, but like, there's so much support for people getting into music when they're young. Like there's a lot of grant and programs and nonprofits specifically even that are really dedicated to trying to bring music to children and high schoolers and even the collegiate level. There's a lot of like scholarships and support. But if you're out here trying to make your own original music, there's kind of nothing. Like you're just fed to the wolves basically. And unfortunately, a lot of the organizations out there that are in the current music industry tend to be pretty predatory. They're looking to take something, not give something. I'm thinking like, everyone's got an experience with a record label or a manager or like a tour, type folk that like came in, promised the moon and the sun, and then got theirs and then just left the band hanging or left the artist hanging. And even, we've learned through working through some artists, like some of our female artists have expressed to us that like producers, when they work with them or when they work with video directors, they tell them how to look and how to sound. They're not really consulted and asked, like, how do you want to be perceived? How do you want to look? How do you want to sound? Like, they're like, well, we're going to crank the pitch correction on this because it'll sound good, regardless of whether the artist wants that or not. So I think a lot of us just wanted to be a counterpoint to that, rather than being another organization that's looking to just take something from artists, diminish the art for the sake of profit. We're kind of like, no, let's put the artist first and the profit is later. It's not our concern as much. It's just art for the sake of good art, I think.
I love that. Do you know our buddy Bryce Mata?
I do. Oh, yeah. Yes, I think I've met him once a few years ago.
Yeah, music.
He does music, and he runs. Oh my God, yeah, Freak Baby Sign. I was gonna be like, I cannot forget this. He will murder me.
We would have had to take that out of the video.
I know it had been definitely like a hard cut, but yeah. So like they go and they do like a lot of band performances and stuff like that. But they've kind of been working on like giving artists another like platform, like as far as like the recording, as far as like all that goes, the promotions and stuff. Because I mean, who wants to, most band members, like, they don't want to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, but you have to. You have to do everything.
Someone is assigned to learn that aspect, and they do it. That's my band that I'm in right now. I do pretty much all of the production and all of the like video content for the band, but like, I then had to draw a line and say, okay, but I'm not booking shows. Somebody else has to be the guy that books the shows, and someone else has to be the guy that's planning the weekend tour and something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but yeah, that's just what you have to do because there's just not a lot of support out there. And thankfully in Flint, though, like to your point, there are organizations locally, like the local,
of course.
432 is phenomenal for being like a nonprofit venue that wants to give opportunities for people to learn how to perform, get comfortable with performing. They're doing the Amplify series right now, and I think that's so cool. Like, there are organizations out there, and I guess that's the thing is we want to be more on that side of the spectrum in terms of an organization in the music industry that's having a positive impact and that is putting the artist first, not treating them as a commodity or as a product that I can invest in and then see a return on. We're not interested in that.
Yeah, it is good. It seems like there's going to be a few more like live event places kind of opening up in Flint, because I mean that that's the thing. Like it used to be like you could go to like bars and you do that, and you would hear music, and then you could eat and everything. And now it's kind of like now the restaurants have kind of like taken back over a little bit here and there. Soggy still does well. Churchill's brings theirs every now and again, but it feels like there's less and less places for musical talent to be until the summer comes, and then it's like you can't throw a rock without hitting somebody on a stage. Which is
especially
great.
Here, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think there was 144 festivals last year.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy in Flint.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of musicians too, like the bar gigs are sort of a rite of passage, like you kind of got to slog through them. But like most of the artists we're working with are trying to kind of get to that like venue only kind of status where they're really only playing to like an audience that's there to see them and stuff like that. So we kind of target what we call up and coming musicians, where they got a following, they have some content out, they've done some releases and stuff like that, but they're maybe looking for what that next level is, they're not quite sure. Do they want to pursue a label? Do they want to pursue management? Do they want to start touring? When they're right on that precipice of like, they know they're taking it seriously, they're writing original music, they're sort of out of that garage stage, they're out there, but we're hoping that this is like a resource for them. And we've had a couple success stories already. One band, Pew Pew Pew, used our session with them as part of their electronic press kit, and they were shopping themselves around to new labels, and our session was used as part of that to be like, hey, here's what we look like, here's how we sound in a live setting, and they were successful. They changed labels, so that was pretty cool. So these are resources for the artists. It's not like we just throw it out there and like hope for the best. It's it's something that they can use to promote themselves to whoever they're trying to attract and grow an audience, and kind of prove that they have the chops. They can perform well, they can sound good, they can curate an experience for an audience.
Well, it's also nice that like you guys have like the backing of like building your own following that they can kind of go on, because that's a hard part, that because we've been starting like the YouTube and everything, and like you just have to kind of start from scratch. But though, I mean, the model used to be like put it out there, make it good, you could go viral, you know what I mean? And then I feel like viral, like I feel like everybody's been inoculated to the viral. Like it'll go for a minute, there may be a couple trends that hit, but like not like it used to.
No.
You know what I mean? And your posts don't go as far as they used to be.
No.
So you have to like build an audience. So it's cool that you guys have an audience who are focused on that and give them a platform.
We're doing all right. Yeah, we broke the 10K subs on YouTube, which was like really exciting for us, and I think like we're over the 1 million view threshold, not on like any one video, but like across the channel.
Up for the shorts.
And up with shorts too and everything like that. Our biggest video right now is an artist called Thought Squad, and they're about to go on tour. They were in a video game. They're awesome. They're from Flint. But one of their videos is about to hit 100K. And so that's like when it does, I'm streamers, champagne, everything. That's going to be a huge milestone for us. So we're super excited.
Yeah, we actually, that was one of the ones that got brought up was the Thought Squad. So I was like, I'm gonna go check them out right now. And then one of the first videos popped up was there, but they're kind of blowing up right now.
Absolutely. No, they're doing so well because they were in this video game that like really kind of like elevated them and their name. They've been doing like tours on their own, and they just jumped. They're about to be like opening on a national tour now. So they headlined Pride Flint Pride last year too, and it went off. It was a fun performance. So so proud of them. I started working with them like years before like Thought Squad existed. I actually did their first couple of music videos. Oh, cool. They just contacted me. They're like, hey, we got this like new project. We don't really know what it is. Do you want to shoot some music videos with us? I was like, yeah, sounds fun. Sounds silly. And now it's blown up into this whole thing where they literally have millions and millions of streams on Spotify. So so proud of them.
That's awesome.
Cool. It's fun to watch people grow like that from Flint too. We had Mama Soul on here and we just launched her podcast, but to kind of just hear their story about how they met Corey and Soul, and kind of like being proud of each other, from Flint kids just trying to build out their dreams. But it just sounds like Flint is such a city of so many talented, creative people, and we just don't get enough positive light on
absolutely
that. And so that's what we want to do, is like we want to blast that light on people that are doing really cool things. And
absolutely,
our city's so freaking cool, man.
And I gotta say, like, I'm not from here originally either. Like, I'm from Ontario, so I'm an
You're
import.
A Canadian?
I'm your local Canadian import. But I've been here since I've been here since about like 2016, and I feel very much like embraced by the city. Like, I don't think I can quite like call it my own just yet, but like I love being here and I love working with people here. I owe a lot of everything that I have to a photographer known as Trevor Norman. He's a lifelong resident. He's actually in North Carolina now, but he's just fantastic. He's a photographer, a very talented photographer, but he was the one that was like just introducing me to people. We started like a like partnership production company for a little while where we were offering like photo and video for like events and weddings and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, like you find your people and you find people that just inspire you and like give you that little push of like, I think you could do a little bit better. Like, what about that next 10%? What about that next 10%? How do you just level up that little bit more every time? And he was that person for me, cool. Where he really just pushed me and said like, oh, I think you could like do a little bit more here. I was like, I think you should put yourself out there and ask to work with these people. And yeah, it was really great. I really owe a lot to him.
Yeah, I think we kind of like got started in like the Flint Film Foundation and Flint, Michigan Films is just like there's just not a lot of resources for film. There's a lot of people with cameras.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, okay, cool. How are you going to take it? What are you going to do to take it to that next level? You know, because everyone's like, you know, music videos or events. That's kind of just like where everyone goes. But there's so much more out there, and there's so much more opportunity. But you know, film is expensive, as you like. You know what I mean? You don't have to spend money for every minute that you're filming, like on a medium now. But like lighting, you know what I mean, lenses, just like the time under tension. You know what I mean? A lot of people just around here get to do it as like hobbyists, like, oh, I love it. So like we're like, okay, cool. How can we help them elevate and get to that maybe like not like a little above a hobbyist kind of thing to where it's like you're getting paid and it's affecting fame and you can continue to grow. Because I mean, like I said, I always feel like there's so like we love artists here in Flint, but we don't take care of our artists here in Flint. You know what I mean? And to the point when you get so big, you're like, well, I'm out of here. Like I've got to go to Detroit or another state where, you know, artists are not only valued, but they're paid for, you know, their time and their talent. Yeah. And then even just too, we've been having, you know, talks with clients about like, okay, what does an actual proper video look like? There's a reason why, you know, we're not charging $500 to $1,000 for a video. We're charging more. It's because like we're coming in with crew. Like you're going to have to actually probably not work that day. You know what I mean? Like it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
you're going to
like
have to shut the door and prioritize this. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, too, and then, you know, when they see, they're like, oh my God, like we had no idea. It's like, yeah. And that's just never how Flint's had to operate. Like you were talking about the word of mouth, and Flint's like has been a word of mouth only town for years. Yeah. And unfortunately, like with Grand Blanc creating a great downtown, Flushing's becoming a great downtown, Fenton, you know what I mean? It's like, and then there's just so much things going down in other cities and even smaller cities that you're like, now you have to be competitive. Now you have to pay for marketing. Now you have to like really think about like how to draw people to your place. You can't just be like, oh, you just go to Flint. It's like, no, we'll just go to Fenton or Grand Blanc so now it's Flint has to become competitive, I think, for the first time in a long time. Summers, I think we're still there though. I mean, we just there's so much stuff.
Have you been to Porch Fest yet?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Cool event. Very
it's a cool event.
Porch
it's my
Fest,
favorite.
Alley Fest, Drop Fest. Yeah. I'm not into the music, but I go every time.
You know what I mean? I've never been to Drop Fest because I'm not into the EDM side of things as much, but
Either are we,
it's
but
great
it's
to just walk around.
People watching is off the chain.
Yeah, it is intense.
I'm like, wow, all right, rock on with your bad selves.
Yeah, just come out and be yourself, have fun. Yeah, just be in the space.
About.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I always, you know, I don't know why this keeps popping up, but I think that you would understand this. Corey always says that that people in Flint don't even realize that they need good marketing or like what good marketing is. So like, do you feel a sense of that? Do you understand that with like?
I think so. Yeah. Because, you know, even I've done like just like small videos for like local businesses and things like that. And like usually it's a lot of coaching, you know, is what it is. Because they don't really know what they want. They've just heard you need social content. So they go, okay, I need a social video. And they just assume that they need like a 16:9 video on YouTube. And it's like, yeah, no, you probably want something vertical and you need something. You know, there's no point in us doing like a 3-minute, here's the history of my company video. No one's going to watch that. Like, we got to cut that down into like the main talking points. And it's a lot of coaching and like kind of stuff, because I think it's a lot of it, especially small businesses, they just hear the buzzwords of you need social content. You need to be on social media. but there's not that kind of like knowledge base going into it of like how to market yourself on social media or how to create like a voice, even like what is the voice of your business on social media. Like, I don't know, like Wendy's on Twitter is like always like making me laugh because they are very antagonistic on Twitter.
Really?
And they go after other fast food chains and stuff like that. Yeah. No,
wow.
Yeah. I'm not on Twitter or X or whatever. So I just see like screenshots on other platforms of their tweets. And it's just like, I'm always just in stitches because they committed to it. They just committed to the bit, you know. That's what I say in my band all the time is, you know, like Fremont Pike, my pop punk band project. We're just a bunch of really silly guys that all work full-time jobs in our 30s, and then like we have this really expensive hobby of being in a band. But we're always like, the fun thing about it is like anytime there's a bit, we just commit to it. Like we absolutely will always commit to the bit and see it all the way through until it's not funny anymore. Yeah. And that's kind of what you got to do on social media. You got to just like identify your voice and then just like kind of commit to it. And I think Wendy's really has, and they're a great example of just like they've figured out how they want to be on social media.
Yeah. That's important. Like that's what we've been talking about with 100K ideas is trying to start like a workshop.
Nice.
To teach businesses how to find their voice, what good social media is. Like even we went to go interview Dan Craney from Signs by Craney. And he was like, I wasn't expecting all of this. And I was like, well, you're kind of important, guy. Like,
well, and that's the thing too. Like, you don't understand how people don't understand
and he's
about
in marketing.
I mean, he just thinks you're going to show up with a camera and it's just going to be this little thing. But I think that's what most people think. So it is kind of intimidating.
And he's also in a unique space for signs. Like he is a complete boutique national brand. Like he does like everywhere. Like he has such a unique business. Like he of course works on the arches, but then he did the weather ball. Wow. He like redid the weather ball, but like he also did things like he did the bat signal for Batman versus Superman.
What?
Yeah, right?
You know what
That's
I mean?
what I said. I said, Dan Craney, you did the bat signal?
Yeah, but
that's a fun trivia fact.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, national chains. You know what I mean? Every Halo burger that's ever came out, Applebee's. I think I remember Buffalo Wild Wings, Taco Bell signs. Like so, he
major companies. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge brand.
The
like,
Capitol,
you know what I mean?
the new Capitol sign.
Yeah, he did all
like
of the
most
Capitol.
of the things that you go down Flint probably is done by Craney's.
Yeah.
I guess he was telling me about his first job.
Churchill's. He actually used to own Churchill's.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and so he did
He
that.
owned it?
Yeah,
I
he used
didn't
to
know
own
that.
Churchill's. And so, funny enough, that Churchill sign was an old Slotsky Deli sign. And it was like this.
Yeah.
But now he put it like this.
And put it on the side.
Yeah, so now if you look at it now, you're going to see where like the little tomato is, and then you'll see the Slotsky Deli. And you'll be like, oh, yeah, perfect.
World,
So that's why Churchill's has such an epic sign is because Dan Craney did it because he owned the building back in the day.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
One of the coolest dudes. Like he's so intrigued, and he's very humble and kind. So you wouldn't have known. He was like, one day I was in Vegas and I was on the top floor and I was looking down out the window and I noticed a sign and I was like, man, that's a cool sign. And then he was like, and then the guys and I later that night we went out to dinner and one of the guys, we walked past that building and one of the guys I was with was like, hey Craney, isn't that your sign right there? And he says, it was my sign. And that was the exact same sign I was looking. I was laughing. Yeah. I was like, your stuff is so good that you don't even know it's yours.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a bit of a Flint character as well too. It's like most people around here like aren't really looking to brag that much. Like a lot of the really successful people around here I've noticed are pretty humble, keep it kind of on the down low. And I find that fascinating too, because it's like, but that's the kind of stuff we need to celebrate. Like that's the kind of stuff we need to put out there a little bit and be like, people in Flint know what they're doing and can do pretty incredible things. But like, it's almost like the humility is, you know, capping the potential because not everybody knows how much you can do while living here and, you know, living in a place that isn't New York or Detroit or LA or something like that. But like you can do pretty incredible things just from here.
Well, I think too, it's also like we were talking to Joel Arnold and like he really mentioned like little things like, you know, making sure that there's trash cans, there's not trash everywhere, making sure that your street lights work, making sure that you're not going past an abandoned building that's been, you know, decimated and been standing there for 3 months. It's like, you don't think about all these little things that make a difference, but to say that, this is, you have national brands, because everybody knows about like home of, General Motors and all that stuff. Like everybody knows that, but it's like, that's still a pride point. You know what I mean? And so you have like a company that's from Flint, started in I think 86 or a little somewhere around there. I think they're coming up on, I think they're the same age as me. Like I think they started a little bit before I was born. But yeah, that has signs everywhere, like everywhere across the entire like country. Yeah. You know what I mean? And parks and people's backyards, you know what I mean? And I think it's just, we need to start telling our Flint story. Yeah. That, we are cool. We have this, and that brings us right into the Sloan Museum.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a cool museum, man.
Yeah, we do.
It's amazing. Bringing it back to Mama Soul, I remember I shot a music video there about like the sit down strikes.
Oh, yeah.
In the old original one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and then like I got to work again before the Sloan Museum was even open, the new Sloan, and we did all those interviews and stuff for the exhibits, and I was just blown away. I walked in there, I was like, what happened? Because normally, like when you do a remodel, you just kind of take it and you add
fresh
a few
coat of
things.
paint, maybe.
Oh no,
blow
some new
out one wall or
exhibits.
two.
No, I mean I think it got like. I'm just going to say, like, you know what I mean? Like, it would probably be my Derek Zoolander moment, but I feel like it was like at least like 10, 20 times bigger than its original footprint. Yeah. And you guys have workshops there as well, too?
We do everything. We have an incredibly robust education department that just does incredible work for all ages, workshops, tour programs for like school children. We host like other organizations like Girl Scouts. They do like overnights at the museum even and things like that. Yeah, like our educational programming over there is just top notch. I think it's the best in the state.
Our church used to be at a Sloan Museum. That was one of our spaces. So I ran a leadership. I was leadership in a church, and we used to set up in the like right when you walk in to the left of that. Yep.
Oh, cool.
For like a month or two, we were hosted by Sloan, which was awesome.
And that's what I think like the modern museum is the modern museum isn't just a place where you go and read panels and look at photos. Like it is like sort of a community hub. It's a place where the community can gather, celebrate their history, learn about other aspects of their history that they didn't know about, and then go and apply it too. I think it's always really fascinating when you learn a little bit of history and then go, oh, like I could do something like that. I think, a lot about when Frank Manley and C.S. Mott like met and then started playing tennis together. And then they started talking about like the inception of the idea of the community school model, which started here in Flint and then spread across the entire nation of like, hey, taxpayers are paying for the schools. They should have more access to them. So what if we opened up the schools after hours and ran like adult education programs or sports teams and things like that? Like this simple little idea started right here, like with a game of tennis, essentially. Just little things like that. That's to me like a really powerful way of going to a museum and then also like seeing the real artifact that history is about too. For me, just seeing artifacts in museums that I'd read about all my life and then seeing like the actual mask of Tutankhamun in a glass case, like, oh my gosh, there it is. And it's tinier than I thought it was. Right. It was built for a boy. Like, he was not a fully grown man. He was a boy, and this is about the size of a boy's face, Just seeing those real artifacts to me is a really transformative experience. And that's what we, I think, try to offer the community is you come in, you get to celebrate and learn your own history, and then see the artifacts that actually make that history real.
And you guys have traveling museum or exhibits too that kind of come in and pop out.
Yeah, we bring in like just special things that like the community would just like. So right now we have ice dinosaurs. So it's an entire exhibit that came from Alaska about like these excavation and this new findings on dinosaurs that lived in the ice and through Ice Age. We have dragons coming next, a whole exhibit about dragons.
Corey got really
excited. It's going to be cool.
We're going to take the boys to that one.
Yeah.
We had Hall of Heroes, which is all about like the history of like comic books and superheroes. That was really fun.
Bodies was awesome.
Bodies was super duper popular. Yep, that's one we always hear people remember. Years ago, we had a Titanic exhibit that came through, and it was like you actually got like a card of a person, and then you went through the whole exhibit, and then you found out if your person survived the Titanic or not.
That's fun, though. That's like a different kind of like...
Yeah, it had like all these like built-in like vignettes of like, this is like a first-class suite. This is a not first-class suite.
Right.
That's where I would have been.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit of exploration too of like the different myths associated with the sinking too, of like what actually is provable, whereas what is like firsthand accounts, like what's real, what's kind of exaggerated. Yeah, it was a really cool exhibit. So bodies in Titanic, I think that's the one I hear about the most when people are like, you should bring that back, you know. We did a math one. I think we called it To the Extreme, but I think it was originally called Math Alive, and it was kind of like the practical application of physics and math in like extreme sports and things like that, like snowboarding and skateboarding. So, we have a gallery that's kind of in the middle of the museum that's sort of reserved for those kinds of things, these traveling exhibits that we just think the community would enjoy, would like to come into, and would really appreciate.
Isn't it free for Genesee County to go to the museum?
It is, yeah. So
more people need to know that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so if you're in Genesee County, if you're a Genesee County resident, you get free admission to the Sloan Museum. There's usually like an upcharge for those special exhibits because we have to pay to bring those in. So there's like a minor upcharge for that. But if you're in Genesee, we have to pay for the thing we're paying for. But yeah, that's because of the millage. So there was a millage passed in Genesee County to support the arts and cultural institutions. So we receive a piece of that at the Sloan Museum and Longway Planetarium. The FIA receives it. The FIM also receives it. And I believe the Children's Museum also receives it. So Genesee County gets free admission to all of those places. And then you get discounted admission to Longway Planetarium shows because, again, we have to purchase those on an ongoing basis. And I think for like Whiting, shows at the Capitol, you get 30% off for being a Genesee County resident. So that millage really goes a long way and supports the arts and cultural sector of Flint in such an amazing way. So vote for renewal. Next year.
And like go.
Yeah,
like,
and go.
You know what I'm saying? Like just
that's
go.
Your tax dollars at work, yo.
Yeah.
But
you're paying for it and
the benefit
taxes,
is
but still
almost incalculable. I think like my favorite it's kind of weird, but one of my favorite things at work is when I'm leaving and I see a kid who is in tears being pulled out of the museum by their parent because they want to stay. It's 5:00 and the museum closes at 5, and this kid is just in absolute tears. They don't want to leave. They're having such a good time. And to me, that's like the sign of a job well done. I used to say the same thing with like wedding videos. If I don't get a message back that the bride cried the first time they watched it, I didn't do my job. So
that's
I really gauge the quality of my work by the tears of others.
We did that last year with all of our film, really.
We did quite a few like really touching ones, and Josh is just like, I'm tired of editing these videos where I cry the entire time. Stop it.
Yeah.
So this year we're focusing on positive, hypey stuff, but we also do love getting the tears going.
But you've captured something special when that happens. Like every now and then too, like with an amp session, we'll finish a take and like everyone will be dead quiet because we're waiting for someone. Like, because usually I let it lapse a little bit just so we get the full decay of the vocal or whatever. And then I'll yell cut. And then there's every now and then there's just a take where the entire set just goes, that was the one. That was like, everyone just erupts and we're just like, oh, that was it. Because we just got that one take that was just like, we captured it. We just captured a moment in time and we were all here for it. It's incredible. It's magical.
I did a show in New Mexico called Bands of Enchantment. So I did like the first 2 seasons. It's on PBS now, but so get these national bands and like we do like a couple like live sessions. Like we'll do like 2 back-to-back like full sets and like then we'll kind of go like, oh, I think we could use this one again or do this one again, but like sometimes they're like, I don't think it's going to get much better than that. We had God, what's his name, one of the Doobie Brothers. He was like, it ain't going to get much better than that, but we'll give you one more. Because it was just such they're just crushing it and vibe, and then we got to do a lot of I love that. I the live kind of music performances. I think those are the ones where I always feel like I'm like, crushed it.
You got to film the Doobie Brothers?
No, one of them. Yes.
Doobie Brother.
I was about to be real sad. I'm like,
he'd God, I can't think of their name, but he does a song called Chocolate on My Tongue. It was just great. And then we got to work with I'm terrible with names. Always terrible with names. But
it'll come to you.
Yeah,
it
eventually.
Comes to you.
I'll put it on the link. Like, hey guys, it was this. Just so you're aware. But tag. But I think that's just so fun. So you get to do like the music, and then you get to work on like the history and like, how did you get into being in museums?
Yeah, so I went to my undergraduate degree was in history. I came over here and went to Alma College, so that's kind of what got me into Michigan, and that's where I met my partner. And she's a Michigander through and through. She grew up in Sterling Heights. She loves Michigan, and I found out very quickly if I wanted to stay with her, I had to stay in Michigan. So
she isn't leaving.
No. So yeah, I just always had like a love of history. It was the one subject that just made sense to me. I think when you're in school, there's certain subjects like math. For me, I was just like, I could learn it and I understood it, but then you put the test in front of me with like a trick, and I'm like, I don't know, I can just do what you told me to do. Whereas history was always that subject where I just like, you told it to me once and I got it. Like it just stuck with me. So I knew I wanted to study history in post, high school. So I came over here and did a 4-year degree in history, and I loved it. It was really fun, but I was kind of in a band at the time and I wanted to pursue that. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with the degree after that. So got a couple jobs after that and ended up getting a part-time job in a museum, and kind of had a light bulb moment of like, oh, this could be a career with my history degree. I never even like thought about working in museums. I'd been going to museums my entire life because my parents both loved museums and took us to museums all over the place, and realized it was a career option. So started doing a little bit of look and work into that, and then found a program in Peterborough, Ontario at Fleming College called the Museum Management Curatorship Program. And I knew I didn't really want to do like a master's yet because like I didn't love school. School was kind of a means to an end for me. So I found this program that was like a 1-year intensive where they claimed they would teach you everything you needed to know to get your museum career started. And I said, okay, that sounds a lot more interesting to me because it was very practical. So I did that program there, and it was basically like a full-time program. It was basically, that was your full-time job, was you're in that program for a year. And it was all hosted at the Peterborough Museum and Archives. So I worked with their collection, and we curated an exhibit as a class of like 30. There was only 30 people in the program, and we curated an exhibit that went on at the museum and worked with their collection and learned how to do all the things. And then I went to DC for a internship. I interned in the Office of Advancement of the Smithsonian Institute to learn about development and fundraising. That was kind of a thing I got into and was really interested in. So my job for the summer is basically I researched rich people for the Smithsonian. It was called prospect development. And basically you just, you get a portfolio and you research these people and you try to figure out like what their giving capacity is, what else they give to, and should we ask them for money for a specific project. So I did that for a summer and it was really interesting. And then I came back to Michigan, started kind of just working. I worked at Godwin's Furniture for like a year just to like kind of get going. But then eventually I got a job at Applewood here in Flint. So then I worked at Applewood for about 5 years. Then I went up to the Frankenmuth Historical Association and worked there as their collections manager for 3 years. Built up a lot of experience just kind of doing a little bit of everything in museums, digital applications for museums, collections management, preservation, stewardship, record management, just kind of, I ran a tour program for a while, all basically, especially at Applewood, I kind of was just like, whatever you got, give it to me. I want to learn. Mm-hmm. And then I got the job at Sloan about 2 years ago now, running their collections department and being the curator there. So during that time, I ended up going for my master's because I was talking to a lot of people in the museum field and asking like, what should I be doing? What programs or anything like that. And a lot of people told me, well, if you want to run a museum someday, you need a master's degree. And I said, in what? And they said, doesn't matter. You just need a master's degree. Yeah. So I didn't want to do museum studies because I thought that would be really redundant with the amount of experience and like education that I had at that point. So I was looking at some sort of like supervisor management type program. And that's how I landed on the public administration program because I focused on nonprofit management, social entrepreneurship. I figured that would teach me management skills and like kind of how to like read a balance sheet and do all that kind of stuff, which it did. And I think that contributed to my current job a lot. Ironically, it was halfway through that program that I did here at U of M Flint part-time. It was about halfway through that program that I started getting the idea for the Art of Music project and realizing that this was something else I also wanted to pursue. And my nature is kind of don't drop anything, just add another thing on. So,
sounds real familiar.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, well, let me start testing this idea out basically through this master's program. So that's kind of how that ended up becoming is like kind of coming out of that idea, as well as some other leadership trainings and stuff I was doing in there. But that's basically my museum career in a nutshell. And now I'm also on the board of the Michigan Museums Association, which I'm quite proud of. That's a new development. And I was on the board of the Whaley Historic House Museum for a number of years over there as well. So
good old Justin.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
we just
I hired Justin.
Oh, did you
did?
I did. I was on the
That's
hiring
funny.
committee. Yeah, that was like my last thing. Was I was on there. I was on that board for like 6 or 7 years, maybe.
Really?
I had hired the previous 2 directors, so I was kind of like, I think it's time for me to move on. I will be on the hiring committee. I will get the next director in place, and then I'm out of here. So I was on the hiring committee for Justin, and
he's
then
great.
made my departure.
He loves what he does. He's super passionate
Oh, he
about
without a doubt was the best candidate. Yeah.
Oh,
no, we're
I'm like, how
very
can you
excited.
even go wrong with that guy?
Yeah, we got to spend about 3-4 hours with them because we were working on Whaley's for the
I saw
children's
that. Yeah, I
center
saw
for
you posted the photos.
yeah, for their 100th. And it's funny. There's like kind of like a rumor that because of how Whaley started, like it kind of like Mott was like, well, I want a foundation kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because they were like friends and everything like that. Yeah. So like when he passed, he was like, well, it's time for us. So it's like they're both hitting their 100-year mark this year.
Yeah. And then the country's hitting 250. Everyone's got Crim is coming up on a 50-year anniversary,
they're 50.
I think. So,
I'm like, I can walk 10 miles probably.
We got to do that though.
Yeah, I have to at least do one Crim. I haven't. Have you got a
I haven't
Crim yet?
done it yet. No. Yeah. My partner Carly has thought about it, but
See, I'm like, I have to.
I feel like I know Carly
Oh.
from previously, and the reason because I seen her picture today, and I was like, I know her.
Yeah.
From somewhere.
She was at Spud Software for a while in Grand Blanc.
Does she work out? Like, does she go to like a CrossFit gym?
We were doing CrossFit. Yeah, we were at 810 CrossFit for a number of years.
That's where I know her from.
Oh, no way. Oh,
Totally.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to CrossFit.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, I looked at her picture and I was like, I know her.
You are really about his girlfriend.
She's stunning. I don't blame her.
You know what it is? You know what it is though? It's because I looked at her picture and I'm like, I know her from somewhere. And it's just been, but and you said she grew up in Sterling Heights. I grew up in Farmington, so I thought maybe that was, but
so she worked CrossFit. For like a marketing company, like a local marketing company called Cherish Local, and 810 CrossFit was a client of theirs, so she was doing their like socials and getting all that set up, and then they were like, well, why don't you start participating so you understand how this works? And so she did it, and she invited me, so we did like a 100-day challenge or something like that, and kind of got involved in that, and then she ended up doing like full CrossFit. And then I had to get back surgery, so I had to stop. And then the pandemic happened. But she ended up going back, and she was doing social media still for them for a while. So we were kind of involved in that for a minute.
Now that that's over with, I won't talk about her anymore.
No, continue. No. I'm not jealous at all.
I'm just kidding. I'm not jealous.
Now I'm just like, what does she look like? Oh, Jesus.
She's got stunning eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're crazy. That's awesome. So I think we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I was going to ask, like, do you remember the moment that you knew that you were supposed to do what you're doing? Like, as far as, like, you know, I mean, you're in a lot of different things. Like, do you have a favorite hat, or, like, do you have this, like, feeling of, like, you just know that you're in the right place?
Right now, I think I do. To answer that last question, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing right now. I was very fortunate to get into museums when I did and find the opportunities that I did, because it's a hard field to get into. And I was looking for a job that would be stable, because as much as I love the arts, I kind of got to a point where I realized I didn't really want a career that was focused on my art. That kind of stressed me out and made me a person I didn't really like, and made me not like the art as much. But when I got into like helping produce other people's art, or even like being in a band, but I'm not like the front, the stage front, like I'm kind of in the back and doing operations, I liked that a lot more. So I like being in a band, but it's not like my focus. I like just having the pleasure of just playing and performing and writing music just at my leisure, because I have a job that sustains my living and everything like that, pays my bills. But as the Art of Music project grows, I think this is something that was like kind of just my idea, and then I found people that also agreed with the idea and wanted to like pursue it and grow it with me. And the more we do it, honestly, the more we realize how impactful it is. Like the response from some of these artists, like we're still pretty young, so it takes like some explaining of like what we're doing and how we're doing it. But once they go through the process, I think they really realize like how meaningful it is to them and how much of a connection they can make. And just like what they're able to explore. So like I feel very, very happy with everything I'm doing. I like playing in a band. I like producing like just content on the side for whomever. If they got a cool idea, I often say like I have just a hard time saying no to a cool idea.
Yeah, right.
It's like, that sounds fun. Let's do it. What's the budget? Whatever. But doing the Art of Music project has been incredibly fulfilling for me. I think we're really starting to like hit our stride and grow. We got a community foundation grant a couple years ago. We're going for it again this year. We just got a Michigan Arts and Culture Council grant that we're very proud of because those grants are very competitive. So we got one to kind of expand our like gear locker and produce some more sessions. So we're excited about that. We're starting to hit our stride, and I think what we're doing is impactful. And I think the more people that want to be involved with it, the better. So
do artists like, do they fill out an application if they want to work with you, or how does that like work? Because I keep thinking about Michelle and Kayla so hard.
No, yeah, it'd be great.
I think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
So if you go onto our website, you can kind of submit a form that kind of puts you on our radar. We have like a pipeline that we are actively working on. Because we're grant funded, we kind of have to wait for a grant to kind of appear, and then we get like a short list of people that sort of sign on, write us a letter of recommendation, and then we say, okay, if we get the grant, then we'll start in pre-production. If we don't get it, then we'll just look for the next opportunity. So that's usually how it works. We kind of have our pipeline, and you can sort of self-nominate and like recommend yourself. There's a short form you fill out, and then when we actually go into pre-production, there's like a long survey that they fill out with like the songs they want to do, describing themselves, their social media, all that kind of stuff. But right now, just kind of get in contact with us. If you like what we're doing, a lot of people just reach out just on social media. Like they'll just DM us on Instagram and say, hey, we just saw you did a session with our friend's band. We'd be really interested in this. Where can we learn more? And we send them the website, and then we let them know that if you want to get involved, usually we just kind of are waiting for like a grant to pop up, and then we can kind of get things rolling.
Yeah, and then getting involved, like as far as like the video side, are you guys looking for like people to kind of help out in that area at all?
Yeah, if people are interested, we're always looking for just like camera operators. We'll set it all up, but if you want to be on set and help us just like run cameras and be stage hands basically, we're always looking for people to just kind of get involved, and just email us or submit. We have like forms on our website. You can just do a general contact, recommend an artist, or fill out a form to volunteer. We're always looking for people to get involved and recommendations.
Yeah, look out for one from Flint, Michigan Films.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we want to come hang out with you, Malcolm.
Yeah,
as long as I don't
this has
have
been
to
fun.
edit it.
I've been enjoying this hangout.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I mean, we are kind of fun. But that's the cool thing about getting to know people from the community, because we could take what you're doing, and you could, bring them over to our new psych wall that we just got with some cool,
I'm so excited.
like there's different, I don't know, there's always different ways to collaborate with each other and help each other out, because what you're doing is kind of what we're doing, but with video and film. Like we just want people to have a platform to do the cool things that they're already doing.
Yeah, or to like have the knowledge that's 2 or 3 steps. Because I went to school, and like film school is so weird, because like film school is like not like any other school, because it's really about like the connections that you make. Yeah, you might come out with like a little portfolio piece and like a kind of general understanding. I mean, at least in the associates. One day I'll go for my bachelor's. But yeah, you don't really come out with like full knowledge. Like, like if you're like, say, if you go into this, you're like, oh, I know the field. You're like, if you're more technical, like a tradesman or something like that, like you're probably going to get a job right out of there. But yeah, now you're just kind of like, well, I have this thing, but how do I get a job? You know what I mean? So, but I was fortunate enough to get an internship with somebody, and he brought me down to Detroit and showed me just an entire world that I was like, oh, this is like absolutely just not what I thought it was. You know what I mean? Like I think in the best way. You know what I mean? Like, because you haven't, you have an idea, but it's just, film is so deep. It is like, just like music, it is like a lifelong pursuit. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
it can be anything. I think that's the difficult thing, is it can just be anything you dream of, so there isn't like a linear path through it because it's not an assembly line. You know, like every section is creative in and of itself. Well, it has that technical element, it has that creative element. So
and like I started in like commercials and, you know, doing like some features and stuff like that. But then like we took a little turn and did like some campaign lighting. So I did like a ton of Hillary Clinton's campaigns, like major lights. And I was just lighting like event lighting. And then through that, I would get like stage lights jobs and stuff like that. Just, you know, where we're putting up like 300-400 lights for a show, trade shows and everything. So it just kind of came, it was just like, wow, it just kind of just kept continuing. And then now we're focusing a lot like on nonprofits, smaller companies, corporations, because I found out like I don't like commercials, you know what I mean? Especially like that big production level where it's like, oh, if I mess up and I cost 5 minutes of their time, I've just cost $50,000.
Jeez, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that amount of pressure, I think, you know what I mean? And back then, like you would do a commercial, you would spend like a month on a commercial. Wow. You know what I mean? But that would play for like 2-3 years. Now you're spending like a day on a commercial, you're getting like 9 to 10 social media spots out of it, and it's gonna run for like a month maybe, and then you'll never see that commercial again. You know what I mean? So like the industry has changed just from like when I started, and I've been doing a lot with the University of Michigan, and I just find out like how much I really like that. You know what I mean? Because I think universities, like, you know, you got your big brands that come here, but then there's all your smaller little colleges, and they're doing all these research grants and stuff like that where they've never, like, you know, where does it end up? It ends up like in the community that nobody hears about, and it ends up in like a 20-page report that half the people who are supposed to read it probably don't read. You know what I mean? So we've been working with them to like start saying like, all right, start adding video into your like grant, like, hey, what did you do, what did you complete? Here's like a 3 to 5 minute video of like, this is everything that we accomplished with this grant money, this research, this NSF funding.
Well, what strikes me is that I think you're a really talented storyteller. You like to tell stories, so I think it makes a lot of sense that you're more attracted to people's stories of what they're doing, how they're doing it, why it's meaningful, as opposed to commercials right now. Because commercials to me just don't tell stories anymore. They're just wacky, you know, like it's just nonsense half the time just to kind of get clicks or views. And I don't know, there's this trend right now with a lot of commercials that even when they use celebrities, they seem very spiteful. Like the celebrities are like always like making fun of the layman, or the layman is like, oh, do the thing. I don't want to do the thing. Like, then why do we like, you were here to, like, I don't know. I have a lot of beef, and I could go on for a long time about commercials right now. But it strikes me really interesting because I think you're a really talented storyteller, and like having seen your work in a lot of different ways, and from, you know, behind the scenes a little bit too, you seem to like really narrow in on like, what is the story being told here, and like, how can we communicate that story? So that makes perfect sense to me. And to me, that's the human experience right there. It's not like how expensive this looks. It's like, at the end of the day, what is the story that's trying to be communicated here? And to me, that holds significant value.
Yeah, I mean, that is what humans do. I think that's what makes us humans. You know what I mean? Is like the passing of stories. It's like, you know, you would tell the story of like, hey, there's this jungle, and you get everything that you need from it. You got your food, you got this is how you do that. You know what I mean? And then there's also like, well, we almost got eaten by a tiger today. Wasn't that kind of cool that we all survived that?
But I didn't, and now I'm a god.
Stories were the things that happened before books, right? Like, and I think that, you know, you complimented Corey on storytelling, but you do the same thing of story. You help people tell their story.
Yeah,
you know,
from the museum standpoint, I think 100% that's where museums have really moved. It's not just like this happened, and these were the facts under it. Like, we talk a lot about, like, in curatorial interpretation, like narratives. What is the narrative happening here? What are we trying to communicate to the audience, and what's the story being told? To the point where we're even like, we'll take a historical event and we're like, okay, what's the 3-act structure? Like, what's Act 1? What's Act 2? What's Act 3? How can we present this to an audience in a way that they'll understand it as a story, because stories are just more interesting. Yeah. So that's even how we're interpreting history now.
Well, I mean, I think she was, getting at too, is even with like your music stuff.
Your nonprofit, like,
I
mean, you got to really think that, like, you're helping them tell what they want,
who they are
through their music, and being able to do that with video, you know, like
I think you're actually right. Thank you. I never thought of it that way.
So,
but,
I was going to ask both of you now that you've been considered a cinematographer today. Now you're a storyteller. You didn't even know. But
just adding to my rap sheet.
Like, what does that mean to you when you're able to help somebody tell that story? I kind of want to hear from both of you. Like, how does that make you feel?
Let's see. Wow.
I've
I don't
seen
get
Corey
put on
cry.
the spot.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, I think it really just, when you have to tell someone's story, I have a hard time like talking to people. Like here I'm fine, and when it's my job, like it's fine. But like out in the public, I'm like, hey, how are you? You know what I mean? That's good. You know what I mean? Cool. Thank you. Goodbye. This was a great transaction. Hopefully I wasn't too awkward. But like when I get to like learn, I get to really connect with people. I get to really learn what they do. But then I also get to learn what somebody else does, and I get to realize what somebody else does, and that this person has a connection to this person, or this person is here because of this person. Like, especially as in Flint, I'm like, it's all just kind of connected. But I think everybody, and why we're so involved in social media, is everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody knows that they're going to die one day, and they want to know that, like, that they made a difference, or that they, that they mattered. You know what I mean? So I think like when I get to tell these stories, and the people who are uncomfortable talking about themselves, which we all are, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But when you get to really just sit with them, and they get to tell their story, and they're relieved, and they're like, I never thought about it that way. I never thought that I had these things to tell. I never thought that I had, like what I'd been searching for all along. Like, oh, I'm awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I like that when you bring that out of them, and they realize that, like, oh yeah, we are pretty cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ask really good questions. You have ability to pull the story out of them, which I've liked to watch. Like, I've watched when you interview. I'll never forget when we went to that. Who was that? That was Bill in Manistee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he was a director of Whaley for like 39 years. Mm. 39 years. And like, he had this idea of what we were coming to do. Yeah. And then Corey interviewed him. And so we get done, and this guy was like, I feel like I just went to therapy. Like, it was so funny because it was just like, oh. And I think that watching him tell that story, he was like, what, 80? I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's 80 years old, but there was this pride of like, I did run and direct like Whaley's for 39 years. Like I did make a difference. Like, it was just so cool to watch him tell that story, and I feel like you just have a really good way of pulling it out of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the thing. It's like, how you were saying is just like, what's the important thing? Like, how do you want to be viewed? Like, how does what you did with your life, like, how is it important? There's a reason why I'm here with a camera. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You made decisions, and those decisions made other decisions. What led you to them?
And I think that's important. Like, I don't think people realize how much power they have in their daily decisions. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, every single decision you make, every single interaction you have with a human is important. You know what I mean? So
I agree.
Yeah. That's so good. What about you, sir?
Yeah, big question.
Now that you know that you're a storyteller.
Yeah. And a cinematographer.
I like hanging out with you guys.
You're going to leave here with a big ego, buddy.
Yeah, no. Oh, it'll be a Flint humble ego.
Yeah, no.
I guess, like, the way I view my work a lot of times is that, like, I guess the most direct answer to your question is, like, then I've done my job. That's how I feel. Like, if I am part of an environment where a story needed to be told, and I did my part to get that story communicated effectively and presented in an appealing way, regardless of the medium, whether it's museum or a wedding story or AMP, I've done my job. And I think I've found such contentment in my life because I've figured out where I am best and it's not at the front of the stage, it's not making it about my art or my story, I think I've found a talent for lack of a better word, producing other people's stories, whether that's putting up in a museum exhibit, whether that's like shooting and editing, or, I do a lot of audio production and stuff like that too. And like, working with singers, like it's challenging because if you get in their head too much, then they stop singing well. But if you don't push them a little bit, then they don't sing all that well, or their idea is maybe just like a little weak and it could be better, and we got to layer it out and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I perceive my role, and where I'm kind of most comfortable and talented now is that I'm sort of a producer of other people's stories. I'm not necessarily the storyteller, but I think I'm pretty good at finding other people's stories and figuring out how to help them produce their story. So I think at the end of the day, the answer to the question is, the way it makes me feel is that I did my job. I contributed my talents in a positive way.
That's good.
Yeah, there's a few things that you said there that I really, really like, and I think we're in this generation we're having issues with is like in media, and I think that's why it's all kind of like weird. What isn't it? It's like everyone's like, oh, what's cool, what's this, and it's like, no, what's you, what's the story, what's
authentic?
Yeah, like, you know what I mean. I just got into a conversation with somebody on something that I'm producing, and they're like, it would be so cool, and it'd be on the Instagram. I'm like, yeah, but it's not better, it's just more. You know what I mean? And like, I don't think it serves the story. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, you say you push people, and that's one thing that I do. Like, I'm not afraid to ask or say, to the detriment sometimes, kind of like, hey, this, we have a problem here. Or like, hey, or if they're kind of like skirting around it, I'm like, you're not getting away from me. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but I'm like, I'm going to keep asking it. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to get you off your guard, and then I'm going to come back to that question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and you can do that in so many different creative ways, especially like, going back to the singer example. A lot of the singers I work with, like, they can write harmonies, but sometimes like they can't quite find the harmony that really works. And it's like, okay, that's fine. We'll come back to it. But we're gonna come back to it. Like, you're gonna stack this harmony for me, and we're gonna have the Grand Blanc boys choir stacked up in this vocal. That's just a joke that Fremont Pike always makes, because we do a lot of like vocal layering with harmonies and stuff like that. And then I always like to like solo it at one point and let him hear. And Andy, our lead singer, always says, "Ah, yes, the Grand Blanc boys choir of me."
That's funny.
I think that it's really great though that you get to like push yourself, and you force others to push yourselves. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's just like when that little magic happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of know that like I'm just kind of going through the motions. If like I'm not a little afraid of someone noticing if I mess up or anything like that. Like I've very much benefited in my life for getting the opportunity to work with people that were far better than me. And I tried my absolute darndest to not have that flight moment, but have that fight moment of like, okay, there's a bar here. You need to come up to that bar, because otherwise you're wasting these people's time. So I've kind of always sought that out of like, I want to work with people that are better than me. I want to work with people that know more than me, so that I'm always learning something, and, kind of holding myself to a standard of, achieving that little bit more every time.
You said something good I thought was important. It keeps dropping in my mind, was about realizing that you don't have to be in front, that you can be, that you're better in the back, right? In the person. And I think that a lot of the times we think that we have to be the running guy. We have to do all of the things. Yeah. But, for me, sometimes I'm like, man, like we make a really good team, because I feel like I can do the things that he doesn't like to do, but he's really good at leading that pack. And like before that, I always felt like I had to be like doing it all and the leader of those things. And I've struggled sometimes realizing that maybe that isn't my place or position, and that I'm really good in the back, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like finding your place in that, like, and you don't always have to be. Yeah.
And I'm the, like, I'm always like, I want to be in the back, but I always end up in the front kind of things. So, but then it's nice though, because sometimes I'll get a call and they're like, what are you doing? Or what's the job? Like, oh, we just need you to do lighting. And I'm like, oh, so I don't have to call clients. I don't have to be the videographer. Like I just show up and I work. I'll be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guys, sometimes it's just like, oh, thank God, this is amazing.
Yeah, there's a mix of things. Yeah. I'm kind of stepping into more of a front-facing role at Sloan. Like I'm trying to be like more of a curators historically love to just like stay in our basements with our collections in the dark and be little basement gremlins with our collections. But I'm trying. Well, I literally work in a windowless room in the basement of the Sloan. So
I believe
that's actually not a stretch. But I'm trying to be more front facing as the curator there. Like doing these something cool videos where I highlight artifacts in the collection on social media and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's always opportunities to like try different things. But yeah, I think like in terms of like being a storyteller or being a producer of stories, like, I think I've really found my niche of just like encouraging others to like, take on those like front facing roles and, just giving them platforms to succeed. I think I work with a lot of really talented people and we're all really passionate about making a better music community. That's a lot more based on support and authentic art and, real original art, especially in the age of AI, where like that's going to be our new thing is like this was real, like this wasn't fake. So
yeah, right.
Real people, real art.
We should do the in the mall concert or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. Really fun.
It's such a like beautiful space out there. Yeah, we're slowly like like getting Rob like, hey Rob, can we do this? He's like, yeah. It's just gonna be continued on. Yeah. He's just like, you know what? Here's the keys. Do whatever.
Yeah. Corey started painting the hallway out there, and now we have to paint the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because Rob was like, that's not your space.
I was like, but Rob, we're painting it.
He was like, you finish painting it, or you're gonna have to pay somebody else to come in and paint it.
Yeah. So then the Job Corps kids are gonna come in and do that, and then Rob was like, can you get those Job kids' numbers? I was like, yeah, you sure can, Rob.
Teamwork makes a dream work.
Setting that bar,
Yeah.
Just raising that bar for everybody.
Well, I think it's just really great, like, how much resources are just available in our community that just nobody understands. Like, for people who are like, Flint's got nothing, it's like, Flint has so much that it doesn't even know what to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And it's like, oh God, how do we do all that? It's like, oh, we just need people. Yeah. So I think it's interesting. I'm very happy to have planted myself in here and to continue on to see where it grows and where it goes.
Yeah.
Time to start wrapping it up. You think?
Corey always asks the best question at the end. I'm sad that he was the first one to start asking this question because now I feel like I can't ask it. So go ahead, Corey.
No. Well, I mean, to me, it's like my thing is like, growing up in Flint, you always have like dreams of your city and what it could be and stuff like that. And I think, you're one of the unique, like one of our first like transplants, you know what I mean? But like.
He called you a transplant. I'm just kidding.
I've been called worse.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, you Canadian.
Beer swelling hockey nut.
Oh, man. I'm kind
of
maple cider, maple syrup fool.
We're all just jealous.
Maple syrup is not.
We went to Canada and it was funny. Like on the radio, they were just kind of like making fun of Americans. I was like, yeah, we deserve that. But then we went to like Tim Hortons, nicest interaction at a Tim Hortons ever.
It sounds really
Tim Hortons is so real.
Tim Hortons in Canada is so much better.
Oh,
it's like it
a
sounds
lie
cliche,
over here.
But like, it's like it's a shadow of what Tim Hortons actually is.
I had one of the best cups of chicken noodle soup ever.
Yeah, real chicken noodle soup. I was like, that's not pre-packaged. That was like real.
The donut selection is a little bit different. The Timbit selection is different. Like the amenities. Yeah, it's so weird how like just different enough. But.
So clean. Everybody had a smile. I was just like, oh, this is so.
I got a smile cookie in Grand Blanc. So do you know about the smile cookie?
I've heard of them.
It's an annual fundraiser. They do the smile cookies, and it's just like a normal chocolate chip cookie, and it's got like a frosting smile on it. But it makes me happy, and I feel like I'm contributing. I got one in Grand Blanc, and it was just a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
They didn't put the frosting smile on it. And I specifically said, could I get a smile cookie? And they were like, yep, absolutely. And then just handed me a non-smiling cookie, and it ruined my whole day.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
I will say
Get it together.
Because I lived in Albuquerque for a while, and like there's something there too. Like it's changed a little bit, but like I forgot like that people were rude. I remember like my first experience back in Flint, and like I went to like McDonald's, and she was like, just not having a good day. Yeah.
They don't say
welcome
to McDonald's. They was like, what do you want?
Yeah. And I was just like, hi, McDouble, please. Yeah. I mean, it's just like in the, but I mean, I think, we talk positively about Flint, but there's some things that we could definitely work on, you know what I mean? But I mean, that's everybody, but it's just interesting. Like since we brought up the fast food, I was like, oh yeah. I do remember the first time I came back, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot there's people are people are hurting here," kind of thing. You know what I mean?
That was something I noticed even when I started living in Michigan too. Is like there was just a weird little cultural difference, like ironically through fast food. But like in Canada, like when you go up to the menu, it's always like, "Can I get a? Can I get a?" And in Michigan, it's always "Gimme a,"
or "Let me get a."
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, it was just like a small little difference that I just always noticed. Like Canadians tend to say like, "Can I get a?"
You gotta say "a" for me.
Yeah, yeah, no. And then I just noticed Michiganders were always just like, gimme a, like, give me a number 10, give me a McChicken or whatever it is. Yeah. It was just
where are their manners at?
Do you guys have the "Ope, sorry about that" up there?
I think so, yeah. I've been like both in Michigan and Ontario that some things like I don't know what's real anymore. Like what is what? Like I don't know if it's just a character or not or anything. Yeah, but yeah, we definitely like, let me sneak by you there in the grocery store when someone's like standing in front of like the sour cream for too long and you're like, sneak on by. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Let me just grab that sour cream. Yeah, thanks.
See, we are closer than our country lets us believe. Yeah.
No, there's Canadian a lot of similarities between Ontarians and Michiganders. 100%. Except for that Michigan accent. That's
accent?
Yeah, that Michigan accent.
You haven't said "a" yet. Give it to me, Malcolm.
What context do you want an A? So that's the thing about like the Canadian A is it's kind of like it's basically like a like an affirmation more than anything else. People like, especially in like films and stuff like that, they kind of just throw it on the end of any sentence. It's more like a way of saying like, don't you agree? Like, hey, it's cold out there, eh? Like, oh man, I don't know what my legs are feeling pretty sore, eh? Like that's culturally more how we use it as sort of like a request for affirmation.
So A equals, you know what I mean? Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Very similar to you know what I mean or right, like, it's really coming down out there, eh? Also, we do discuss the weather as small talk unironically. Like that's a very Canadian thing. Canadians will discuss the weather as small talk, like unironically.
Michigan, so
and ours is like, how are you doing? Like, living the dream.
I hate that response. Living the dream. Yeah. That's the word. That's like you're living a bad life right there.
Nothing's going right for you, is it?
I mean, the problem, and they say it like sarcastically, right? So it's not even like the truth. Like if somebody were to be like, I'm living my dream, they're like, oh, like they would just assume you're having a bad day.
Yeah, and if somebody actually was like, I'm actually living my dream, you'd be like,
question mark?
Yeah, do you want to talk about it? Like,
I don't think you're using that phrase right then.
It's not how we use it here. That's so funny.
So that was a long-winded way to say we get distracted. We have ADHD.
We just go. Yeah, so I know we've been like all over the place. Is there like anything that we haven't talked about that you want to share or promote or
anything?
No, I mean, if you're Genesee County resident, go to the Sloan Museum. It's free admission. So we got great exhibits, great programs, lots to do. Love the Sloan Museum and Longway Planetarium. While you're there, just check out the entire cultural center. Shout out to them. Art of Music Project. We're on social media, obviously, at Art of Music Project on all socials, and then www.artofmusicproject.org. For our website, go check that out. I'm in a band called Fremont Pike. We're a pop punk band. We mainly play the Detroit circuit and stuff like that, but we got 3 EPs and an LP out. I think they're pretty good. So go check those out. If you can't afford Corey and you want someone lesser than, I do freelance videography and audio production. So hit me up and I can, if it's cool, I can probably help you out. Do, full band recording, all that kind of stuff as well. Full production, pretty much. So, that's pretty much what I'm about. do a little bit of other stuff, but yeah, those are kind of the biggies.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to link them below, of
Yeah,
course,
appreciate
into the
that,
thing
yeah.
and collaborate. And
Yeah, I go under just like Malcolm Cottle Media for my freelance stuff. So yeah, if you're doing music recording or like, basic video production, Malcolm Cottle Media is where you can find me.
I love that.
Yeah, we got to get him connected. I got like people just blasting in my mind right now. I'm like, I need to get him connected with Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
tons of. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like you're like we were talking. Like we do kind of the same thing, but it's like, are you worried about competition? I'm like, no, not at all. Like what I mean? Like it's collaboration. Like there might be a time where I'm like, hey, where's that space that you use, Malcolm? And
you know
and
what I mean?
Vice versa
Like, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think art should be way more collaborative. In general.
And if you're looking for grants, let me know. I'll let you know about the grants we go after.
You
and vice
opened up
versa,
Pandora's
so.
box.
You just open up Pandora's box on me, buddy.
No, because we can all. You don't. There's no way to know every grant that's out there. So like the only way is to just talk to people and learn about like what's out there. How's the application process? Which ones are more worth going after than others too.
Well, and they've been big on collaborating, so we could probably write a grant together based on the similar things that we could like. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we're doing that, and I'm just now getting into and learning about the fundraising. You had mentioned that earlier. That's a whole thing. Yeah. That's a whole thing.
Hey, if you need tax write-offs, businesses, I got sponsorship opportunities for you.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Well, that's really good in like October, November, too, towards the end of the year, which Yeah. So, but I think we should really talk about, like, obviously, I think a whole round of grant writings just ended their submission date, but we should come up with like a cool project to do together.
Because you got to share Genesee Art, right? You got one of their grants?
We'll talk about that offline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that off film.
Okay, my bad.
No, you're good.
I thought I saw the announcement, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. You did. You sure did, Malcolm.
So I always start like in this on my end is like, if you had like a wish or a hope or a prayer for Flint, what would that be?
I guess like just selfishly, just because of what I'm involved with, is I would like to see Flint recognized as a national hub of arts and culture. I think we have, in terms of cultural institutions, the Sloan Museum has become like one of the top in the state, and I'd like to act, and I'm actively part of trying to push that into the next, like I want the Sloan to be known regionally and then nationally. Like we should be like a nationally recognized museum. I think the Flint Institute of Arts is the exact same way. Like the fact that we have that quality of art museum here in Flint is incredible, and we need to celebrate that and support it. Same with the Flint Institute of Music, with the Whiting and the Capitol historic theaters that do incredible productions. And then, in a much, much smaller way, the Art of Music Project is trying to be part of raising the national or state local profiles of the musicians that we have here and the talent that's here. So I think that would be my humble vision for Flint, is to just receive national recognition for being an absolute hub of incredible arts and cultural talent.
Absolutely. Could not agree more.
Yeah, that 100%.
Now you get to ask your questions.
My turn. So we have this really fun thing where we ask each guest to leave a question to ask our next guest.
Sick. Cool.
Yeah, and then so you'll get to leave a question for the next one too. But this one came from Emily from Queen's Provision.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Have you been there?
Oh, love Queen's Provisions.
Man,
we go there a lot.
So, it's one of the best. So
got to get your charcuterie and wine.
Man, good place to take the girl. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We went there for our anniversary, actually.
Did you?
That's where we had our anniversary dinner. So
yeah, I like that. That's good. So Emily took some time to write this, and she picked her own question, which is one of the options, but it says, what would you do today if you knew it was your last? And how can the answer help inform how you should prioritize your time now?
Oh, I had an answer until the second half. And then
I know, right? She kind of like...
So today's my last day.
Today's your last day.
All right.
What would you do?
Spend the whole day with Carly and our dog Dinah, obviously.
Dinah, what kind of dog is Dinah?
She's a Morkie Chihuahua, so she's Chihuahua, Maltese, and Yorkie.
I want to play with that dog.
Yeah, she's 15 pounds of constant energy. But yeah, I'd spend pretty much the whole day with them. I think I'd like to try to organize like an evening party with like my friends and family, because like my friends and family are pretty spread out between Ontario and Michigan. So like if we could get them all together for a party, I'd end the day with a Cuban cigar, a single malt scotch, and a Bordeaux wine. And a bourbon. I think I need a bourbon too. Just kind of like a smattering of all my favorites. Yeah.
Some of the last little things.
Yeah, so I'd go with a Macallan 18 scotch. Any wine that's Bordeaux is my favorite kind of wine. I think I'd go with Iron Fish bourbon, because they're out of Michigan and they're phenomenal. I'd do their...
You try it?
Yeah, I would do their Caribbean cask bourbon. It's fantastic.
Where do we find this?
They're over on the other side of the state, but like, I don't know, because I used to always get it at Oliver Teas in Grand Blanc, but now that they're gone, I've seen them in other places.
I'm sure Market Tap would have at least. They're pretty good about the local.
We did a sampling actually at Market Tap. They did, yeah. So
they try and do like local beers and scotches and ciders and stuff like that. So yeah,
Teas is coming back, right?
I don't know. I've heard mixed things. I've heard someone is buying them and revamping them. I've heard that something else is going in there. We'll see. I don't know. R.I.P. Ollie Tees, but yeah.
And then that second part of that question.
We got back into talking again. All right. It says, how can that answer help inform how you should prioritize your time now?
I think for me, like friends and family are like my biggest priority usually. I do really value the length of friendships that I've had. I've had, one of my absolute best friends, Tristan Matheson, we've been friends since grade 4. And I have another group of friends that we started in high school and we're still regularly getting together and doing projects together and stuff like that. So like, I'm really grateful for the opportunities that I've had to meet some really neat people that have kept me in their life for a long time. So I come from a family that's always kind of like prioritized family and held family in really high regard. So to me, again, like that little party is really emblematic of that, of like not wanting to leave anyone out. Yeah. I kind of want to I don't want to do a trip for a day because I don't want to like drive around that much. So I will just get everyone together and they can all be together with me one last time. And the other thing is too, is like enjoy some of the finer things in life, we've all been at the point where like all we could afford was boxed wine. But now I'm a little past that point, and I know what kind of wine I like. I know what kind of bourbon and whiskey I like. So don't be afraid to enjoy the finer things in life. My parents always said there's 3 things that you never go cheap on. Don't go cheap on coffee, don't go cheap on cheese, and don't go cheap on your alcohol. Because those are all things that you can taste the difference. So
I got to meet your parents now. That's good.
So, so in that interest... maybe we'll get Queen's Provisions to cater the fine cheeses and wines and coffees and everything like that for this big party. But yeah, I think that would be the reflectiveness that I would take from that answer is enjoy the finer things when you can. Family and friends are always the best part.
I love that answer a lot.
And indulge in art because why not?
Why not?
Right.
I love that. Okay, so here's the 3 questions. What's one question you would like to ask the next guest? So obviously Emily picked that one. Something you would say to someone that's meaningful. Mm-hmm. And then the third question is leave one truth or lesson or reminder that's been important to you. So you get to pick what that question is and then sign your name and date it. And then I'll ask that to our next guest.
Okay.
Sweet. Well, Malcolm, thank you for coming. And
can I work on this like off camera?
You sure can. Yeah, you sure can for sure. Take your time. Don't feel rushed, my guy.
But yeah, no, thank you. It's so good to like kind of hear just like where you came from, the things that you're up to on outside of like social media, and just like I'm excited for us to collaborate in the future.
I think this is going to be the beginning of a lot, so I'm excited about it. So thanks for having me on. This was a real pleasure. I'm really glad I self-nominated.
Yay! Yeah, I'm excited too. Thank you.
All right. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cut. Wrap.